Sister Somaya, I just remembered. Do you have a like daughter?
Yes, I do.
Okay, yeah, now I remember. It was a really crazy day.
Yeah,
So,
it was.
right. I remember we were all playing with her. So,
Yeah. That's all right. Um, yeah, I was telling Zahra I loved going to that conference. It was such a special time for me and Ibrahim. We really felt like you guys were like a family and everyone was so kind. Yeah, we had such a great time. Even if we're not speaking, we would go to it. Just, just to attend, inshallah.
we're really happy to have you. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Sorry, I hope the room is okay. Is it good? I don't know how to change to the background.
Oh, your
But
background's great. It looks great. Don't worry about it.
it's the furthest room in the house, so away from the sound.
I'm just posting like an Instagram story thing right now, so if I'm like not I'm not like
It's
creeping on
okay.
anyone.
You're fine. You're fine.
I think inshallah we're gonna start at 7:10 just to give people some more time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, on this. Anna's gonna be late. Can you monitor Facebook, IMSA Facebook? It's also on IMSA Sister. I'll do IMSA Sister.
It's just the IMSA Facebook page, right?
Yes. Check YouTube. I'll have YouTube open as well, but I don't think people comment there much.
Is it the radio or just the page itself?
Just IMSA. Okay, I'll do IMSA Sister. Oh.
Assalamualaikum to everybody coming in right now. We'll be starting in like 2 minutes, inshallah.
Can you guys hear me? Okay.
A lot of people are joining. If you guys could also remind your friends to get on, that'd be great because we will be starting, inshallah. We good to go? Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you to everyone for coming today. I'm Hanan and I will be moderating the session today. This event is currently live on Facebook and Radio IMSA as well as Zoom. A big thank you to everyone for being here, and of course, Arya for helping us stream. Thank you to everyone who played a part in developing the event, and thank you to everyone who suggested mental health as a topic. I'd like to make a major shout out to, of course, the IMSA youth team. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce the event and our goals for today. To provide some context for today's session, titled Staying Balanced Under Pressure, a back to school mental health discussion, I just want to talk about how we're approaching the middle of August and many of us are getting ready to go back to school or already are back in school. So whether it be work, a new academic year, or other endeavors, the different pressures that build up in our lives can easily overwhelm us. It's important we take the time to tend to our mental health and ultimately aim for sustainable efforts. So, especially as the academic work-life culture can lead to burnout. So as we navigate these situations that can lead to stressors and difficulty, we want to be able to recognize the pressures and practical tips in how to address them. We'd like to learn about healthy versus unhealthy coping mechanisms and how to best approach challenging situations. So I'd like to now introduce our speaker, Sister Somaya Mellouli. Sister Somaya has a master's in clinical social work and psychology from the University of Central Florida. She leads a youth group in which she funded for 10 years and is passionate about the youth and focuses her efforts in youth groups for teens in middle and high school. She is training the next generation of youth to lead and to empower them to make a difference in the community. She works as a mental health therapist for children, teens, and adults, and has experience in play therapy and cognitive behavioral therapy in her practice, helping clients to cope and manage their emotions. She and her family have been involved in organizing tarbiyah programs in the community for many years. Before I hand it off to Sister Somaya, I'd just like to say that questions will be taken after a 40 to 45-minute talk, inshallah. So feel free to send in questions throughout the session. So welcome, Sister Somaya. Thank you so much for speaking with us today and sharing your expertise. If you'd like to start, if you're ready. Sister Somaya, can you hear us?
Give me one sec. Oh.
Oh.
Okay, okay. Give us 1 second.
Okay, can you hear me now? I can.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah, we
hear
can
me
hear you.
in the microphone, so I think it. Okay, you're good.
Okay.
Oh, did you is everything okay?
Yeah, I didn't hear the I didn't hear what you were saying. That's why I was saying, can you hear me earlier?
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I just introduced you and just the
Okay.
session in general.
Okay.
If you're ready to start, if you'd
Yeah.
like me to repeat anything, let me know.
I apologize.
Oh,
I
you're
just
good.
couldn't hear you guys. All
You're
right.
good.
It's better now. Well, assalamu alaikum. Thank you guys for having me. Sorry for the awkward introduction. But I'm very happy to be here and to be speaking with everyone. I was requested to speak about how to balance life and coronavirus and work and school, right? And so I was very excited to talk about that as a mental health therapist. I've been seeing a lot of people dealing with a lot of changes during this trying time, right? So when we talk about life balance with school, work, we're adding now coronavirus or this pandemic. A lot of changes are happening. So and I want to talk a little bit about these changes and how it could help you, how I can help you kind of identify the factors that you need to include in your life. So first of all, as you all know, we're not meeting in person because everything's online now. Everything is on the computers, classes, work. I do my work on the computer, talking to patients via video. So even that has caused me a lot of disturbance in my routine and how I do things. So this time, I'm sure a lot of you are dealing with those disturbances in your routine, and that's probably leading to a lot of anxiety, a lot of how to adjust things, and as well, it could be leading to you not, like not being able to do the things that you want to do, and that can cause some sadness and some disappointment. Um, During this time, it's an uncertain time. So, and that uncertainty can lead us to feel a little bit more anxious because we don't know when we're going back to school. We don't know when we're going back to actual work and, you know, seeing people, being in meetings with people. I know some of you are probably going to work. And if you are going to work, you're probably wearing a mask and taking all the precautions and all that, takes some, like extra effort that you have to put into it. Um, Now, mental health is very important during this time. It's very important to keep yourself in check and making sure that you're feeling okay. So some people may be dealing with grief at this time. Even if you don't know anyone who has the coronavirus, you may be feeling like the sadness with how many people are dying or why are the cases going up. So we could be dealing with early grief, and grief happens even without, like without seeing people or knowing people that have dealt through it. Then everyone deals with this trying time differently. So you're not alone. Everyone is dealing with either anxiety or a little bit of sadness because of this change. Um, and as you know, all of our lives are different, and we have to identify what are the things that we got to deal with. what are things that we have to do and what is the purpose of it. So let's say school. School is for those who are youth. School is very important, because school helps you to obviously stay educated and stay informed. And, like having to go to school online. My son, for example, is going to school online. He started on Monday, and we're homeschooling him, and he listens to the teacher through his headphones. And so it was a totally different thing. And for him, he was very anxious to be going back to school that way. He wanted to see his friends and be with the with so how school is. Um, so you really have to kind of see what it is that's going on in your life, if it's school or if it's work, and really find the purpose of it. So with school, you have to go to it. It will help you, stay educated, and family life, having family and being around family can provide you with support and comfort and safety. Um, so at this time, you got to identify those things. You got to identify what's going on in your life. So for me, it's work and my child's school and family. I have to know how to balance all those things. And this is leading to our topic today. Um, so balance comes with kind of like balancing all these things comes with practice and comes with enforcing positive behaviors. So if your routine changed, you have to accept that, okay, this is what's happening right now, and I have to work through it. I have to change my routine to fit my mental health, my physical health into this. So and I want to bring it back kind of like to Islam, and bring it back to what Allah told us. So in the Quran, Allah told us to be patient. Allah told us to have hidayah. Allah told us to persevere. And so we have to, when we feel like we want to give up or we want to stop doing what we're doing, we have to remind ourselves to go back to Allah. And the Quran and Prophet Muhammad, they both helped us kind of identify ways to cope with, you know, depression, anxiety, anything, any mental health uh, challenges that you may be facing, and how it may be impacting your life. So one of my main things when it comes to Islam and how to fit it into your life is, be friend to Allah. Allah is your friend, and pray to Him and get close to Him, and He will give you the relief, and He will give you the sense of comfort that you wanna get in the end of the day from that relationship. Um, there's a dua for anxiety that I was gonna talk about, but I maybe want to talk about it later, inshallah. So uh, part of the topic about how to balance your life, how to balance school, work, education, family, all that, it's a lot of balls to juggle. So we have to really um, accept that we have all those things in our lives, and then really work through juggling all those the best way that we can. One of the worst things that can happen is you juggle too many things, or you fit too many things in your life that they shouldn't, like it's too much for you. You should know your capacity, um, and how to deal with the you should know your capacity and how to deal with all the balls that you're juggling. So when we're juggling too much, it could lead to burnout. And burnout, it sounds like a simple word, but it's not. It's actually a heavy word, and a lot of people can deal with it. Either burnout in school, burnout at work. I understand we have a lot of college students, so and some middle school and some high school. So a lot of them may be juggling too much, taking too many classes, working at the same time, and balancing volunteer activities and all these kind of things. So I want to help you guys kind of recognize when you are feeling that burnout, and recognize when your mental health is changing, when your mental health is kind of like um, taking a hit. So with work or school, when you're feeling burnt out, you may be feeling exhaustion, or your like performance in school or at work has dipped down. Um, Sometimes physical symptoms like tiredness, stomach ache, or having chronic stress. And one of the most important ones, which will help you identify that you're burnt out, is emotional exhaustion. And that's like not being able to cope with everything that's going on and having heightened anxiety. So, anxiety, like you're not going to do well in school, you're not going to be, or at work, you're not performing well. And all this is caused by a few things, and these few things, if we change it, we can see a huge difference. So the changes are, these causes could be like um, having unreasonable expectations for yourself, right? Or parents having unreasonable expectations for you. um, Lack of support from family, from teachers, from coworkers, from friends. When you are under a lot of stress, you may not be like feeling like your best, so you need someone to pick you up. And when you have a lack of support, you're more likely to feel that burnout during this time, during any time when you're overworking yourself. And this all goes back to your mental health. And we'll talk more about it in a little bit. Um, Now, how to prevent this burnout? You have to make a conscious change in your life, and that starts with you. No one is going to change it except you. And some of the changes could be like if you're studying, it could be like how you study, how you do your work, maybe time management, fixing that. And if your job is giving you burnout, I know this is controversial, but change your job, get another job. I mean, try, don't quit your job right away, but try to find another job. And so, as well, making regular scheduled breaks to help you, um, kind of like relieve yourself from the stress and have more time to kind of like give your brain a break. And that's for school, for work, that's all very important. And one of the most important things, probably in all of these, is managing your stress by exercising, by taking care of yourself, by eating healthier. Um, all those changes can help you. So I know I said a lot. I know it's a lot to take in, but there's simple things that you can do, and they're in front of you in your life. You just have to really identify it, and then kind of like find support on how to make these changes. So for teens and young adults, social support is very important because for teens, um, this may sound weird, but like, I mean, actually, it's not weird. It's actually true. Teenagers look up to their peers, not their parents. So during this time, um, we need that social support. You need people to talk to. You need people to, just kind of validate you, kind of let you know what's going on in their life, and hear you out what's going on in your life. So right now, if you're not doing that, make sure you are doing that. Make sure you are texting and calling friends, staying connected. We have so much technology that we can use to stay connected with our friends. And then if that's not enough, I know this is controversial, but you can meet in open areas. I mean, I live in Florida, so we have crazy people all over, but like they're not following the rules. But I'm a big rule follower, so I would recommend you guys to, if you can, meet out in public, meet in a way that you can stay distant and wear your mask, always wear your mask, and sanitize if you touch each other's things. So and these are doable things, but just make sure that you're staying safe and healthy. Um, and I cannot emphasize more on social support, social support, social support. Very, very important. Just overall for your mental health. The other thing that I was talking about in preventing burnout and how to balance your life is physical activity. And I'm sure a lot of us have not been doing that lately. um, have you guys probably watched all the Netflix movies there possibly are? um, have you gained COVID pounds? I call them COVID pounds. I'm sure I did a little bit. um, so these are some problems that a lot of you guys have. I mean, maybe not a lot of you, but a lot of people have been facing. So making sure that you're staying active is something that can help you, like just kind of balance out things in your life. During this time, especially, have gotten more lazy because we don't need to leave our house. We don't need to do a lot of things. The groceries can come to your house, food can come to your house, so that's not a problem. But we're not encouraged as much to be out and about. So in that case, just wrapping up kind of like how to, prevent and how to deal with, this burnout, making sure that you're staying active, making sure that you're taking care of yourself and things around you in your life. I did want to talk a little bit about going back to school. In Florida, a lot of people have gone back to school. So one thing I did, and then one thing I do recommend, a week before school starts, kind of get yourself into a routine, change your bedtime, get back to like, if you sleep at 8, if you sleep at 8 or 9, go back to sleeping at 8 or 9. But I'm sure with teenagers, it's like 1 or 2, but sleep a little earlier than that so you can wake up good and refreshed for school. I would say start a week early. And also, if you are going face to face at school and you need to wear a mask, start wearing it at home to practice. It's all mental. It all starts in your head. And if you go to school and see first time, or at work, your first time wearing a mask, and then you're gonna be like, oh, this is so annoying. So starting it from now is really good and a really practical way to kind of get yourself ready. Working on fixing the routine is actually very important because mentally, when we practice things, it becomes a habit. So, and changing up that routine is very good. Now, for those people who are taking online classes, um, I know you're at home, you're at your comfort zone, all that is good, but we're probably going to get more lazy than usual. We're like, oh, it's an online class. I would say treat it like a real class. Treat it as if you're going to school. um, Make a desk for yourself, make a room, a good environment for yourself that you can like it can feel like school. Can you hear me, Zahra? Yeah, okay. um, so that's one of the ways, and also how to like keep yourself organized. Now, the mental health part of all of this is how to cope with this, how to really find the best strategies of how to cope with balancing your life and dealing with all this that we have going on. And even though maybe some of you guys, your life hasn't changed that much, but um, actually it has changed. There is a new thing that's happening in the world that is changing and shifting the way we do things, the way we know how to do things. So going back to that as well, you may be feeling some anxiety, some depression, and you have to find a way to identify if you are dealing with that by talking with people, by, if you know how to cope with it, try to use your coping strategies. So when it comes to coping strategies, there's healthy ways and unhealthy ways of dealing with these, with how to cope with what's going on in the world. So, uh, coping skills are, like basically actions that we consciously or unconsciously do to deal with stress and uncomfortable emotions or uncomfortable feelings. So I want to cope with anxiety. I want to probably acknowledge what's going on, what's making me anxious, and then take deep breaths and try to relax myself to bring me back to where I was before. Um, so really quickly, unhealthy coping skills can look like, uh, using drugs, overeating, procrastinating, self harm, and sometimes aggression, um, and lack of, lack of focus as well. But and sleeping too much or sleeping too little. These are unhealthy things that are going on in your life, and they could be unhealthy coping strategies that you may be using. Now, healthy coping strategies are such as exercising, like I was saying before, talking about your problem, which is something that I advocate for a lot because I'm not only because I'm a therapist, but talking about your problems and things that are going on in your life can really help you kind of just get a relief, that release of internalized pressure that you have inside of you. So some of the healthy coping skills, like I said, exercising, talking about the problem, eating healthy, seeking professional help, like talking to a therapist, psychologist, or a life coach, and relaxation techniques, which are like deep breathing, positive self talk, and like social support and all that. Um, but I can tell you something when it comes to unhealthy coping strategies, like they tend to feel good at the moment, but the long term, it has actually negative consequences. So like eating too much, like it cause you to gain weight. Sleeping too much, it could cause you to feel like you're missing out with your family or in life, and it could cause you to feel worse. Um, Alhamdulillah, we don't have to deal with this, but a lot of non-Muslims, they resort to alcohol, and alcohol actually is a depressant. It does not make you feel good; it makes you feel worse. So when people are depressed, they use these unhealthy coping skills, and it only leads them to the worst, not to the best. um, Now, I know I'm going all over the place, but there's a reason for why I'm talking about it this way. Um, so we talked about like burnout, we talked about how to identify it and how to prevent it, but as well as understanding your stressors, what in your environment, what are the things that stress you out? Stressors come from different places, like it could be like pressure. It could be like being with people. Actually, it could be a stressor. Being in an unhealthy environment could be a stressor. Um, and so when you're feeling sad or you're feeling anxious, these stressors can cause you to feel. And when they go unidentified, it causes you to feel even worse. So once you identify it and you identify that you are feeling sad, you're feeling overwhelmed or uninterested in things, you know, due to these pressures that you have, or you're having, uh, like for example, a stressor is at school, school homework is a stressor, work could be a stressor for you. Um, a lot of things could be stressors. So it's different for every single person. So just making sure if you are feeling low or you're feeling sad, making sure to go back and identify what is kind of causing you. What are the causes of this feeling? So I want to talk about two kinds of mental health disorders that are most common, which are anxiety and depression. Um, anxiety, a lot of us now probably have gotten more anxious because of COVID-19, but uh, I would never say, diagnose yourself, never do that. Make sure you seek help if you feel anxious. Um, but a way to manage it is normalizing it, validating your feelings, validating that I am feeling anxious, I'm feeling under a lot of pressure. Um, Also, talking about it with your support system. I keep going back to the support system. All that is very important. Um, they can help you kind of feel supported and less overwhelmed. Now, anxiety is an increased, like fear of the unknown, increased worry, increased fear, just in general. Um, so again, to deal with it, you got to talk to your support system, distract yourself um, from what makes you anxious, and then practice relaxation techniques. So relaxation techniques is, taking deep breaths in and out, um, identifying what makes you relaxed, and as well doing a lot of self-care. uh, Before I move on to depression, self care is not you going to a spa and or going to like boxing things to let some steam off. But no, it's could be anything possible. For me, relaxation and self care is going outside during sunset and just taking deep breaths and enjoying the nice weather. Because in Florida, it's hot throughout the whole day, except before sunset, it gets a lot nicer. Um, So making sure that you are, kind of identifying what is causing you anxiety, normalizing it, and then practicing relaxation techniques. With depression is one of those things they have to catch early on. If you are dealing with depression, make sure you seek help. Make sure you go talk to someone about it. Um, Acknowledge that you are feeling sad, acknowledge that you're feeling overwhelmed. All these are symptoms of depression. Um, One of the main things is you will find yourself internalizing. Um, and when you internalize things, you will feel like no one is understanding you, no one hears you. So if you're feeling sad, if you're feeling overwhelmed, uh, and I'm not just talking about any kind of sadness, I'm talking about deep sadness, make sure that you get help with that. Talk to someone about it, and let other people help you. So if your family recognizes it, let them help you. They want to take you out to dinner, okay, that's fine. I know it's going to be hard, but it's fine. Let them help you out. Change in routine. Um, Change in the things that you do. So if you're watching TV all day, every day, because you're depressed, close that TV, hop in the shower for a second, you know, kind of change your routine a little bit to kind of get you out of that depression. But again, if you're feeling overwhelmed, talk to someone about it and seek help. Um, when it comes to mental health, it's as important, if more important than physical health. So in our communities, really don't, we really don't recognize our mental health. We recognize, oh, my nose is itchy or my throat hurts or this, and then we go to the doctor. Mental health, it's the same way. If you're feeling anxious, you have this pressure next to your chest, in your heart, you have to release it in a way. So you have to take care of it. You have to go and seek, talk to the psychiatrist, even talk to your doctor, and if they recommend it, go for it. And again, it goes back to the stigma in our community. We don't appreciate it as much. And I hope, like today's session is actually going to kind of encourage you guys to, if any of you guys are feeling in any certain way, make sure that you talk about it to someone, your social circle, and then if you can, go and seek help. Um, so I'm a therapist, and when I was going into this field, a lot of people there, like I tell them I'm a therapist, and they're like, oh, like, oh, you're not a doctor or engineer, or like I'm not fitting into the regular Arab, or like Desi or Asian cultures that want us to be like in a certain way, or they perceive success to be something else, or something. It has to be a doctor or engineer, right? So for me, becoming a therapist was actually a way to kind of break that stigma for me and my family, and actually it helped me a lot. By me becoming a therapist, I was able to take control of my anxiety and acknowledge a lot of things that are going on in my life, and I was able to make a lot of changes. And I cannot emphasize on how important therapy is in our lives. It's it's something that we don't recognize that we need, if we need it. Like if we're dealing with a lot of stressors, and all of us are. So therapy could provide you with tools, could provide you with resources, could provide you with comfort and support for you and in your life, for your life, and how to balance all the things that are going on in your life, if it's school, family, work, whichever it is. And then therapy helps you reach goals as well. So in my therapy sessions, I make sure in the end of the session, we are making goals for the between now and the next session, to allow people to um, work on the things that they need to work on between now and then, to stay accountable, to stay realistic about what they want to achieve in therapy. And one of the best things is when you go see a therapist, you can feel supported because you're talking about yourself. You're not talking about therapist. You're not talking um, about anything else but you, and the session is about you. So it can help you with your self-esteem. It can help you with your confidence, and with any challenges that you're dealing with. But I'm going to conclude here, and I'm going to just I'll put it in the chat. Few resources that I really like, and I wanna just emphasize a little bit. If you're ever feeling sad, overwhelmed, super anxious, don't hesitate to talk to your mentors, your youth mentors, your leaders in your community. Those are the best type of support, and they're there for you. And I'm sure they would, stand next to you and help you out. But some of the resources, Muslim resources that I found actually, and I thought was pretty cool, are these two: 1-800 1866 Nasiha. You can find them on Instagram, and you can find them on Facebook. They have a website, and they basically have, it's like a hotline to help people, like if they're dealing with crisis or anything like that. And they have like licensed therapists over there as well. And then the other one is the FYI. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. I found like a lot of really cool toolkits that can, they give you pointers of how to work on your mental health, and a lot of other things, family and youth, and a bunch of that stuff. And then the last thing is, and actually two other things. There's this National Alliance for Mental Health, and it's a hotline that would help you whenever you just need someone to listen to you, and as well as the suicide hotline, and I can put that there. And I think, that's very, very important. At least it's there for you, that you can call that number. With that, I conclude here. Thank you, guys.
Jazakallah khair, Sister Somaya. That was
Welcome.
so informational.
Thank you.
You really hit every single point, from identifying stressors and pressures to coping with them healthily and unhealthily. So thank you so much. While folks are coming up with some great questions, I had some questions myself. So you mentioned that Sleeping late is a habit that is seemingly insignificant, but can actually be damaging for mental
Mhm.
health. So, what are some other mistakes or problematic situations that you see people unintentionally getting themselves into in terms of mental health? And how do you suggest people pay better attention to avoiding compromising behaviors?
Okay, so when it comes to that, like, so sleeping late or sleeping too much or sleeping too not enough can lead to feelings of like actually depression. Like that's one of the main symptoms for it. So sleep is actually very important for your physical health as well as your mental health because your brain needs to basically relax. It needs to rest to be able to rejuvenate and get back to like a regular way of functioning. Other habits that I've seen, like I also mentioned them, like eating habits, uh, like just negative habits such as picking on, like picking on nails, um, maybe like doing things that could be damaging to oneself. So sometimes people seek validation from other people by like posting only certain things on social media. So, for example, like posting only how happy they are instead of how they're actually doing, right? So we see that a lot in teenagers, and we see that a lot in just everyone. And I understand that's social media nowadays, but that's actually one of the bad habits that a lot of teens have. That and then they feel like they're only getting validated from social media, and then in their life at home, they're not getting that the validation they want, right? So making sure you're setting realistic expectations for yourself, I think it's very important. But going back to sleep, I think that's in health wise, it's very very important to take care of. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was a
Mhm.
great answer. Really great reminder for all of us. I don't think, we realize some of those things can be harmful.
Mhm.
And kind of on that note, you mentioned that negative aspect to seeking validation from people.
Mhm.
And I kind of had another question in regards to that.
Yeah.
So, it can become easy to open up to your friends sometimes and get really vulnerable with them. But where would you say a person should draw the line in terms of opening up to friends and getting vulnerable and personal with them
Yeah.
and realizing, oh, I should seek help and maybe not direct these things towards my friends?
Yeah. So that's actually a great question, and I hear that a lot in therapy, and a lot of people come to me because they're afraid to talk to their friends. I would say, some of us have like thousands of friends. Some of us have like five friends, right? But in the end of the day, you'll have like that one friend that if anything bad would happen, you'd pick up the phone and call them. That would be the friend that you can console with. That would be the friend that you should talk to, because your friends need to be there for you. You need to be vulnerable and seek support from them, and they need to seek support from you, and as well to be vulnerable to you. So a lot of people like they get really scared to talk to their friends about this. They're like, oh, they're not gonna understand. And I also had that with my friends where I felt like everything was on the surface, like we weren't going deep enough. And so sometimes it's important to just like, hey, let's talk about it. This is what's really going on in my life. I'm actually feeling sad or I'm actually feeling anxious about this. I just wanted you to know so you could be supportive to me. And most times, more than ever, your relationship will get better instead of get worse. So that's amazing. And I found that even in my personal life, once I like opened up and once I let them open up to me, we're able to like really form a better bond. Yeah. So it's okay to kind of like talk to your friends about it. Also pick your friends. Like don't tell anyone about it, Um let's just say you're feeling anxious about your future goals, like what you're going to do for college, and you don't want to disappoint everyone. So I would say talk to your friend, to that one friend that would understand and would guide you to what you want to achieve. Yeah.
That's a really great point. Thank you. Yeah, it's so important that we open up to the right people, especially if we feel like we can't. Um, and kind of again on a similar note, you also mentioned how important it is to seek help if you need it. But I think unfortunately some folks struggle with reaching out because sometimes you need your parents' support in getting therapy or whatnot. And so, what advice do you have to offer for anyone facing that challenge of finding help in their family, trying to get more resources, trying to get help professionally?
Okay, so again, in our community, we have the stigma of like, no, mental health, no, 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 go pray to Allah and Allah will help you. Oh, and I forgot to talk about there's a dua for anxiety that I think a lot of you guys and I see some people shaking their heads, and I think you guys know about it. If you Google it, I can actually let me bring it up really quickly, and I think this dua is very, very important. So yes, Islam tells us to talk, to seek help from Allah, but we also need help from we need that, and we also need external help. So one of the du'as that you can do for anxiety, and I'll read it in Arabic first, and then read it in English. It says, "Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al hazan من الهم والحزن والعجز والكسل والبخل والجبن وضلع الدين وغلب الرجال." So it means, oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from relief, sadness, from weakness, from laziness, from miserableness, and from cowardness, and from overcome by debt and overwhelmed by men. So just saying this dua can help you actually a lot to kind of feel a sense of relief and release even when you're anxious. So this, so we have that in our religion, we have that in our deen, but also finding that social support, like I was talking about earlier, is super important. Sorry about that. Super important in a way that can help you kind of like, if you find that one person in your family that you can talk to, um, that could sometimes be enough. But if your family is not encouraging, I would say talk to your school counselor, your guidance counselor. And if you're in college, there is a therapy center, like, I don't know, they call it as psychological centers, basically centers catered specifically for students dealing with mental health problems. So if with parents is not, and family is, there's no support, seek support from friends and then seek support from school or workplace. Does that answer the question or not really?
That answered the question perfectly. Thank you so much. I think sometimes we do forget about like seeking help from people at school. So that was perfect. Thank you so much. And just you mentioned something really important, and that it's important to both put your trust in Allah and pay attention to what Islam teaches us about mental health, but also take initiative and try to find resources yourself. So thank you for reminding us on that. And that kind of reminded me of something you said during your talk. You mentioned making Allah your friend, and I love that, and I think that's such an important point, whether we're talking about mental health or not. And
Yeah.
so I was just wondering what are some practical tips, just some advice you have on building that relationship with Allah, especially in a mental health context.
Okay. So that's actually an excellent question. And I'm sure you guys hear about this a lot, like pray to Allah, Allah will listen to you. But the thing is, a lot of us, pray to Allah when we're feeling like sad or, having trouble. And then we feel guilty about it. And Allah does not want you to feel guilty about it. Allah wants you to ask Him for help. Allah wants you to be there and cry for Him and just like be fully, like you really put yourself out there to Him. And that's when Allah will come closer to you. Not when you kind of like, okay, I'm dealing with all of these. Alhamdulillah, I said Alhamdulillah that everything good that's happening to me is all because of Allah. But then I don't want to burden Allah with my sadness or my grief. But that's important. That's what Allah wants you to talk to Him about that. Um, Allah could be your best therapist when it comes to that. And I think it starts with um, having really, when you're having a really, really tough time, just sit there and just talk to Allah. Talk to Him as if you're talking to a friend. It doesn't have to be only in prayer. Of course, we could do that in prayer, but also, just sitting there and, raising your hands and, just talking to Allah and pouring your heart out there. Um, so it starts there, and then it starts in your prayer, and then it starts in the deeds that you do. So sometimes we could do an act of kindness to help us feel a little bit better and know that we're doing it for the sake of Allah and in a way that Allah will help us and will support us. Um, so, I mean, getting closer to Allah not only during like Ramadan or special times like Eid or whatever, but all the time. Allah is there for you and with you at all points.
Thank you. You answered the question perfectly again. I love what you said about how, like when you're having a really tough time, just go to Allah. And of course, practice makes perfect. So that's definitely something that we can all
Yeah.
try and work on whenever we're
Mhm.
having a hard time. I just want to put another reminder if anybody has any questions, please send them in the chat because Sister Somaya is killing it. She's just answering these questions amazingly. Um, I was wondering if you could answer this other question I had. It isn't really related to, I guess, like our mental health per se, but kind of related to your work. How do you handle engaging with others and hearing their struggles without internalizing the stress yourself?
Okay, perfect. Going into this field, I kept hearing you have to take care of yourself. You have to, once you hear the file, and I hear a lot of things. I hear from, like from something so simple to something so tragic and horrible. Um, so for me, I had to really practice that. I really had to practice and visually close that file in my head. Like I literally go like this sometimes just to be like, okay, close it up. Okay, we're done. And then putting it away and going home, making sure that I'm not bringing back what I heard my family, that I'm not internalizing it, and I'm not causing my family some stress because of that. Um, so that's one of the aspects of it. Another aspect as a therapist, I have a supervisor that I meet with every single week, and I discuss my cases. I process a lot of the things that I may be feeling, or I may be internalizing, or transferring to myself from other patients. Um, so, with that being said, I have to kind of talk about it. Therapists need their own therapists, by the way. And it's just to improve your well-being, and it's to help you out if you're struggling, if you're internalizing anything. Yeah, but it takes practice. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. What you just said was it was funny, but I mean I didn't even realize that myself that therapists need their own therapists. So thank you.
Yeah.
And then if you have any closing thoughts for people going forward, I'm done with my questions.
All right, perfect. No, I don't have really anything else to say, but like I said earlier, make sure that if you're struggling with anything regarding your mental health, first of all, reach your social support, reach your mentors, reach to your leaders in your community, and of course, always seek help. Um, I can tell you and reassure you that if you're not feeling supported at home, schools and workplaces, they have like mental health people for you over there to either refer you out or to just be there and hear you out. And if you have anyone who's going through this, I'm sorry, the the room got really dark, and I feel like I'm just a face circling around. But if you have anyone who's struggling with this and with mental health, just make sure you help them out, you listen to them, and then kind of guide them towards the right path. Allah.
Inshallah. Thank you so much. I think inshallah, this was a great session. And I just, thank you so much, Sister Somaya, for your time and your wisdom and energy and knowledge. You really put into words a lot of the common pressures we may feel, including, of course, COVID-19 related stress, as well as the signs to help identify burnout. So a lot of really good information on how to identify the problem, and then of course on top of that, shedding light on practical and beneficial tips on coping with the stress. We have making Allah your friend, validating yourself, which we often forget to do, surrounding yourself with positive social support. uh, we really I'm like speechless. That was so
Thank
good.
you guys very much, and your questions were very, very good, and they like I think they hit the point on like the questions that everyone has. you know Everyone is dealing with this, everyone is like kind of having those similar questions. So thank you for asking those questions, and thank you guys for being patient with me in the beginning. I apologize, I just couldn't hear. Yeah. It happens.
It does. Yeah, thank you so much. And I also want to thank our audience. Thank you for joining us tonight. We hope IMSA Youth continues to be a safe space and resource for everyone. Inshallah, we will be getting resources and information out after this session, so please keep an eye out for that. Despite the cultural stigma surrounding the topic of mental health, we want to really, really, really emphasize that IMSA Youth encourages open discussion on mental health. And again, we will be sharing resources, but feel free to reach out to anyone on the IMSA Youth team. Anytime, of course, but of course, in light of school starting again, things are going to get tough inevitably, and we just want to be here for everyone. So thank you again. Thank you so much, Sister Somaya. It was amazing. Thank you to everyone who came with love and community and in solidarity. I'm going to close the session, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. Jazakallah khair to everyone. That was a great session. Yeah.
Thank you.
Alaikum salam. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was good to see you again.
So good to see you as well. Hopefully we get to see each other soon.
Yeah, inshallah. Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Wait, let me make sure we're off the stream.
Streaming is still on.
Okay, I'm there.